This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We're here for the regular council meeting. I'm going to do a quick introductions as we're doing online as per usual. We have Councillor Janine Boulanger.
Good morning.
Councillor Ron Mamchuk.
Good morning.
Councillor Curtis Clayton.
Morning, everyone.
Councillor Shane Pelletier.
Good morning.
CEO Mitch Duval.
Morning, everyone.
And in the background, we have our Assistant CEO Dominic Lemoine.
Good morning.
As what we've been doing for the last few months now, we will be voting online through our online system. So I'll have a mover and a seconder, and then people will cast their vote online, and we will get the meeting started. Item 1, meeting called to order. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Pelletier.
Councillor Pelletier. Questions, comments?
It's a beautiful morning.
Yep, please cast your vote. Sorry, I was distracted by the rustling of the garbage in the background.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Open the meeting at 9:01 a.m. Item 2, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Blanchet.
Councillor Clayton moves it, second by Councillor Boulanger. Any additions or edits?
Not here.
Okay, cast your vote. Pardon me.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Item 3, adoption of minutes. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Pelletier.
Thank you.
Last meeting minutes of November 18th, council adopted the audited 2019 financial statements. Council also approved a conditional use for a home-based business. Also, a development agreement was adopted by council. Also, because of COVID-19, council passed a resolution regarding municipal enforcement. And we have also provided relief funding for the arenas and a donation to the Ile des Chênes Food Bank.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Any comments or questions?
Not here.
Cast your vote, please.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Item 4.1, accounts paid to be approved. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Blanchet.
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you.
This is a big batch, 5.some million, because of school taxes being collected come as we've received our due date of October 31st for collection for the municipality. Moving forward, we now have to slowly remit some of the school taxes as part of that. So there is 5.4 million in school taxes. The big division in the municipality is the Seine River School Division, which is at 3.2. This is the first of 3 installments, this one being the biggest because we've collected to date an estimate 75% of taxes. So we then remit 75% of the school taxes back to the school divisions.
Thank you. Any comments from council?
I have 2 quick questions. On page 1, first item, TC Energy for 14,000. It would just be nice. Is there not room that we can't have descriptions of what these items are on these ledgers? It just says GL distribution. So,
yes. Okay. So for the TC Energy, that is basically the quarterly lease agreement that we have, an arrangement with this TC Energy that we pay the hydro and whatnot.
Right.
So
Okay.
Our CFO keeps track of that, and every quarter we balance the books.
Okay. Thank you. And then the last page, page 5, St. Adolphe Arena for Winnipeg Building and Decorating for repairs.
I believe this goes back. I think this goes back to their mold issue that they were having at the back wall. George Humnick, our directors of facilities, would be better poised to answer that, but that is what I think that is all about.
Okay,
I could follow up with George and let you know.
okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. The internet's very laggy, I apologize.
No problem. The vote is carried 5-0.
4.2 accounts not paid to be approved. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Mamchuk,
Councillor Mamchuk moves. I think it was second by Councillor Clayton.
Batch total, I believe, of 182,000, and the CFO has provided a report for that. 182. The big purchase was a truck for the Public Works Department at 52,000, as well as the Receiver General at 36,000. So that's 90,000 of that 182 just there. Otherwise, everything else is captured by the CFO.
Any comments from council?
not here.
Yeah, I have a couple. Just on page 2 of the big batch, and page 5, so it says Boulay Sheet Metal and Global Electric were paid separately. That was that invoice for the Ground Point Clubhouse through Public Works. However, that is a directive through Regent Construction, and therefore the payment should go to Regent Construction, and then they will pay their sub-trades.
So that's
So
for
can that-
that's for Boulay.
Boulay Sheet Metal on page 2 and Global Electric on page 5. I had submitted the one invoice, which had the total amount, and then it was broken down between the trades, but the total amount should go to Regent Construction.
Okay, we will make that change. So we pay this to Regent instead of those two individuals.
That's correct.
Okay.
And then there's just one other quick one, page 13. There's maybe I should know these things by now. Dustin Story for $500. Might not know what that one's about though. And if not, that's okay.
That's a refund. $500 is usually a refund RFD. So it could be for grass seeding, landscaping, or whatever refund. It's an in and an out on the
Okay.
books.
Thank you.
That's
That's
okay.
all.
Okay, council, that's it. Please cast
Yes.
your vote. Me.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Item 4.3, council indemnities. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Belanger.
Thank you. Second.
Counselor Mamchuk,
Thank you.
Council has a copy of their reports individually. Just looking at it, you guys are pretty much all within the same number of hours for the month.
Perfect. Council, do you have any questions?
None.
Mhm. Cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. 4.4, payroll to be approved. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Mamchuk,
Thank you. Second.
Councilor Clayton.
Thank you.
This is in regards to payroll 24 from November 8th to the 21st. Still having some nice weather out there. Public Works is still doing a lot of work out there. Nothing to report on this payroll. Just want to bring to council's attention that we are in the process of doing employee evaluations at this point in time, at which time we will also look at their total of bank time that they have, vacation time, and try to see if what kind of situation they're in and try to bring those numbers down if they need to be brought down.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions from council?
Not here.
Cast your vote.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Item 4.5, appointment of auditor for 2020. Do I have a mover?
Councilor Clayton.
Thank you. Second.
Councilor Pelletier.
Thank you.
The administration, the CFO, and myself are recommending that we move ahead with BDO as the auditors for 2020 as a result of COVID and the latter of the 2019 statements coming in late November. We're already looking at starting the interim budget for 2020. So that would be our recommendation. We did appoint them for 2018 and 2019 a while back based on an RFP that we had received. However, that RFP was for a 4-year term. Council at the time decided for 2 years. We're recommending to proceed with BDO for this 3rd year. However, that the CFO in 2021 will make out or do another RFP for auditing services for the years 2021 for another 4 years thereafter, so 2021 to 2025. So right now we're kind of caught in the middle, but very happy with the progress of BDO.
Thank you, Mr. Zio. Any comments or questions from council?
No, it sounded like it went pretty smooth this year, so.
Perfect.
No, you did a
Okay,
good job.
awesome. Cast your vote.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Item 5.1, bylaw 13-2020, amending bylaw 11-2020, reduced speed school zones. First reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor
Councillor
Mamchuk.
Blanchet.
Councillor Mamchuk moves, second by Councillor Belanger.
Thank you. This is regarding the school Gabriel Leroy. We do have a school zone already on one side of the school to the west. A request from a ratepayer was brought forward to administration. We reviewed it, suggesting that we do put a 30K zone on Hamilton Street, which is on the east side of Gabriel Leroy School. The extension of the school zone would start 30 meters to the north of the property, of the school property, and extend down to 40 meters to the south of the school property, basically lining up with the southern portion of Chadon Bay. The signs would line up a lot better if we keep those distances as is.
Perfect. Any comments or questions? Councillor Pelletier, this is your round.
It's a little off topic, but the only thing I'd like to add for note, Mitch, is if we can get at Ile Shane School, there's currently no parking on the west side of Dote. If you've got the map up and handy. We've
Okay.
got it marked as no parking. If we can get that changed, probably in the bylaw to be no stopping. We're having, it's been an ongoing issue here where we have parents parking all along there for picking up their kids and they're basically parked on the sidewalk.
Yeah, good
I
call.
Just if we can get that in discussion to get that started.
Okay, I've made a note and I'm sure our assistant CEO has done that as well. So it won't be part of this reduced school zone parking, but it'd be part of the parking bylaw that we're working on right now for all communities.
Perfect. Okay, cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
5.2, bylaw 14-2020 GPHA loan, first reading. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Mamchuk.
Thank you, Councillor Mamchuk, second by Councillor, who is that? Clayton, thank you. Okay, Councillor Boulanger is leaving. I believe is it declared a conflict, Mr. CEO?
I don't know. I have not heard word from Councillor Boulanger. I'm assuming it is.
Oh, I see. This is my first. So yes, I will be recusing myself as there is a conflict of interest, as I have a financial investment in this project. So I will let you guys decide and be back later.
Thank you very much. We will wait. Okay, she's left, so go ahead and
just to give you a rundown, the GPHA community is in the process of constructing their clubhouse project. Council is on board with the project. I believe a resolution council was passed earlier in the year. They are at the point where they have enough funds to cover the phase 1 of the project with the CDI funds and what the GPHA have in their bank account. However, moving forward, they have very good, decent pricing to move ahead with phase 2. And in order to do phase 2 and have a building that's fully operational, they are looking at some kind of borrowing of about $320,000 in order to proceed. We had, the CFO and myself had a meeting with the GPHA to explain to them the different types of lending that's available, the debenture route through a local improvement district was discussed with them, as well as a loan and what's involved with a loan. Gave them the pros and cons to both sides, and it was agreed by the GPHA that they wish to move forward with a loan proposal. The advantage with the loan proposal is that if they come into a surplus of funds as a result of rentals moving forward, they could pay off the loan quicker. If they do a local improvement, it is a little bit more of a dragged out process, and your financial commitments are what they are for the term of the loan. We could almost compare this to a father lending a loan to their son for a car payment. If the son all of a sudden wins the lottery and wants to pay off the car, then they could do so. So the proposal is a $320,000 loan, whereby it would be payable over 15 years at 2.65%, which is still better than them going out to the banks and borrowing it, or us investing it at our credit union at 1.something%, if we even get to that point. So those are the numbers and the logic behind the loan.
Perfect, thank you, Mr. CEO. And may I just say that if my siblings were giving a loan, they wouldn't be paying it back. So that might be a bad example. No, I think this is great. I think we should, as municipalities, help out each of our communities, which we have done throughout the last year, especially. So I think it's progress, and I think it's definitely the right move. Any other comments from council?
Have we run this by legal, Mitch? I'm just wondering if this puts them in a position where they're going to have an audit done every year, much like the TCC is. I know it's not owned by us, but.
Well, the property is owned by us. The building will be ours on a theoretical, correct? So then they will have rentals coming in. They will have more activity. If that kicks them into the bracket of being audited, unfortunately, it is what it is. But it won't be the complexity of an audit similar to the RM. I think I forgot the the legal terminology behind the audit, it could be just a letter of statement versus an audit that would cover that.
Well, would they not fall under the same pretenses as the Rich Out Library and the TransCanada Energy that are both paying full audits for every year? I just want to make sure that they're aware of, like, that's a $5,000 bill coming
Yeah.
every year.
Okay, I'll have to discuss the matter with our CFO to figure out. It's definitely not a voting thing, so we could get back to you in between reading number 2 if council proceeds with number 1.
Mhm. Any other comments?
No, not here. I think it's good use of our general reserves.
Perfect. Okay, council, please cast your vote.
The vote is carried 4-0.
Okay, we'll take a 1-minute break so Councillor Boulanger can come back online. I just messaged her, so council, if you need to refresh, do so now.
Actually,
Councillor Boulanger, are you with us?
I am now. Thank you.
Okay, we were just waiting for the refresh minute to be expired. Okay, all of council's back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Moving on to item 5.3, bylaw 15, 2020, building bylaw, first reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk,
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Pelletier.
Thank you.
Our building inspector has been working throughout the year on revamping our building bylaw. The last one was dated back in 1998. So since then, there's been building code changes as well as other miscellaneous changes done. We wish to move ahead with first reading, even though we haven't discussed the changes thoroughly with council. However, there is a summary provided by the building inspector to council regarding what those changes are. Again, most of them are all building code in nature, some new definitions being added, but council has a list of those summaries and would recommend to move forward with the first reading. At our next planning meeting, we could then go into more depth as to what all those changes are.
Thank you very much. Council, do you have any comments?
not
I
here.
have a comment about submissions. So on Schedule B, page 19, it lists the plans that are to be submitted under a permit, but it doesn't say anything about electrical. Like normally we have electrical power and systems, floor plan, and an electrical lighting plan. So I was just wondering if those should be considered as well. We've got in the list, there's mechanical, HVAC, and plumbing required, but no mention of electrical. So
Okay, that's a fair question. I'm not a building inspector, so I think I would hope that council could pass first reading and at the planning make that recommendation or talk about that and then see if there's a need to add it or modify the bylaw accordingly.
fair enough. Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Point 4, bylaw 16, 2020, organizational and established committees, first reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor
Councillor
Clayton.
Blanchet,
Councillor Clayton moves, second by Councillor Belanger.
Congratulations to council. They've made it through halfway their term, at which point we usually take a look at our list of committees and see if council is satisfied to sit on those committees. As we all know, our mayor has now won the vice presidential seat for the AMM, making his time even more demanding for the people. So I think the organizational chart needs to be revised accordingly. Thank you to council for having done a review on this and proposed the changes as such.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Yes, we're halfway there. So keep up the good work, guys. If there's any questions or comments on this, feel free to speak now. Any edits? If not, we'll
Do
go
we
ahead.
have, I know with everything being the way it is right now, is there still opportunity for a youth delegate?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Shoot.
The youth delegate is within the bylaw itself. So it says it may appoint. I'm not sure, is it part of the listing on Schedule A?
I don't think it ever was.
No.
No, so then it is covered in the organizational bylaw as a youth council.
Okay, yeah, it was more of a
And it's a
reminder.
resolution, yeah, and it's a resolution to appoint that youth council. So yeah, so if council wants to think for 2021, I know 2020 sucked.
Technical term.
But
Yeah.
hopefully moving forward, yes, very technical.
The term for our current
Maybe
youth
for
council is
2021,
what,
we
1
may
year?
look at.
Go ahead, Councillor Clayton, sorry.
Sorry, I was interrupting our CAO. No, I was just saying that our, the current term for our youth councillor is what, is it 1 year?
I believe it's 1 year at a time, yes.
Maybe
Sorry,
our
Mr.
next planning meeting, we can discuss moving forward with that. Sounds good.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Cast your vote.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. 6.1.1. Oh, no, sorry. 5.5, bylaw 16, 2020, organizational and established committees, second reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk,
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Pelletier.
Thank you.
Decided to change things up a little bit on you folks to do 2 readings instead of just the 1.
You tricked
So
me.
second reading, same as the first.
Perfect. Any additions or comments? Okay, cast your vote.
That vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. 6.1.1, 2020, 2021 Dutch elm disease program. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk,
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Blanchet,
Thank you.
This is in regards to our 2020-2021 Dutch elm program funded by the province. The Public Works Department sent out an RFP for this program and is recommending Tree Pro to be tasked with the Dutch elm program for 2020-2021.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from council?
not here.
Not here.
Okay, cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. 6.1.2. 6.1.2 culvert on PR 200, approximately 0.5 km north of PR 210. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Blanchet,
Thank you. Second.
Counselor Pelletier.
Thank you.
This is a request from the Department of Highways, Manitoba Infrastructure. They are looking at putting a culvert through PR 200 on the outside of the ring dike of St. Adolphe. This is to be able to drain the waters directly to the river. I think it is all part and parcel with the bigger project, which is the pump station on the inside of the ring dike, which our Public Works Department, Water Stewardship, and Department of Highways are working on, and hope to see more drawings, more specific drawings come spring of 2021.
Thank you. Any comments from council?
I think that's going to be a good project. I think it's going to clean up a lot of the old pumps behind our place down here, because you're going to have one major one as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. 6.1.3, assuming infrastructure, IDC Old 59 Commercial Subdivision, Vandermeer Rosy Bloom Developments. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Pelletier.
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Mamchuk?
Thank you.
As discussed at the last Public Works meeting, the infrastructure, underground infrastructure for that development of the 11 or 12 lot commercial properties to the north of Ile des Chênes will be coming up for expiration on the warranty, and it is recommended by Public Works that we take ownership and that we release a portion of the letter of credit in the amount of $78,600 and some dollars back to the developer.
Perfect. Any questions from council?
Not here.
None here.
Okay, cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. 6.2.1, agreement for construction Dash Valley Fiber Limited. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Clay.
Thank you. Second.
Councillor
Counselor
Blanchard.
Pelletier.
Thank you.
Valley Fiber is in the community, or coming to the community of St. Agath. We are currently starting to clear out an area by the St. Agath Fire Hall in order to accommodate a small building and a tower. I think we've had inquiries from a few residents seeing that they were starting to take down some of the trees with the reassurance that the property that Valley Fiber is going to be occupying will be inside the tree, two major tree rows, and that tree rows won't be affected. I think put some peace of mind to those concerned residents along adjacent to the property. There's a few steps that still need to be done. There's a subdivision as Valley Fiber wishes to own that parcel. It's about a 70 by 70 piece of land tucked away inside that tree line. The biggest one is to enter an agreement with construction as they are ready to go and want to light up St. Agath with internet as soon as they can. So my recommendation is to move ahead with authorizing administration to enter into the agreement, construction agreement, as well as the right-of-ways that need to be taken in order to lay down the cable.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll open up for council discussion. Any comments? Councillor Clayton, this is your realm.
Yeah, no, I don't have too much to add, but I just want to say thanks for CAO and administration for moving this forward as quickly as they have. We are up against Mother Nature right now. The ground is starting to freeze. We need to, be underground to build the infrastructure. So that's all. Thank you.
Cast your vote.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. 6.2.2, Arm of Richot to pay for Sandigat Fire Hall debenture taxation on roll 262200 and 274000. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Mamchuk,
Thank you. Councillor Belanger, you second?
Sure.
Funny story and not funny story.
Okay.
Basically, when the administration put the bylaw for the local improvement, we decided to have it all on exempt property as well. So that meant churches, schools, et cetera, et cetera. One thing that we did not think of was basically just vacant land owned by cemeteries. So basically the cemeteries are still paying property taxes on a service. So the funny part is even when you're dead in the Arm of Richot, you're still paying taxes. It is our recommendation that administration cover these two cemetery lots. Both of them added together is under $100 for taxation. It would clear up that matter, and a little bit of a lesson learned for us as well to not charge the dead for taxes.
Yeah, I hear we're changing our new slogan from Country Skies City Ties to taxes after death. So if we could fix that, that would be great. Any questions from council?
I don't want to die in Richot.
Yeah, no kidding. That's why we live forever here.
Nothing further to add to this conversation.
Okay, cast your vote.
Thank you. The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. 6.2.3, garbage contract for 2021 to 2024. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Mamchuk,
Councillor Mamchuk moves it, second by Councillor Clayton.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, our garbage contract expires come year end 2020. So administration put out an RFP for garbage services, made some changes. The biggest change is that we are proposing to move ahead with a bin or cart system for residential pickup for all urban centers, which would also include the community of Grant Point. In receiving the RFPs and taking an analysis of those 4 that we did receive, administration is making the recommendation to move ahead with GFL Environmental.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
not here.
Okay, cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. 6.2.4, recycling contract for 2021, 2024. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Pelletier.
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Belanger.
Thank you.
Again, regarding recycling, our contract expires at the end of the month in 2020. At this point, we also issued a RFP for proposal for recycling services. We received 3 proposals, and at this point, we are recommending to go ahead with the proposal from GFL Environmental.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
Not here.
Okay, council, please cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0. Once council has now authorized administration to move forward, we will be in discussions with GFL for a service contract agreement. Also discussing routing and pickup dates, as well as implementation of bins, etc. We will also contact all our other unsuccessful RFPs and letting them know and giving them a brief summary of the RFPs that we have received. as well as I will be reaching out to our 2 current providers, thanking them for past services, but given their unsuccessful bid to move forward for the next contract.
Thank you, Mr. CEO.
I'd just like to say awesome job on the putting the RFP together for this, and just how it got rated. You guys make our job easy.
I second the motion.
Do we know roughly when? It's not till June, right? When is the changeover?
The changeover should be January 1st
Oh,
or January
okay.
4th, basically the
Okay.
first week of January. We do realize that the garbage bins or garbage carts will not likely be here in time. So GFL, as part of the RFP, needs to provide garbage service accordingly. So it will still be a hand bomb system until the carts are delivered.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving on, 6.2.5, lost income dash daycare rentals dash COVID relief fund. Do I have a mover?
Councilor Clayton.
Councilor Manchuk.
Councillor Clayton moves, second by Councillor Mamchuk.
Okay. As a result of COVID, there has been many changes in the world, and including in the Armor Shot. The biggest impact for the municipality is the loss of rental income that we have been charging to our daycares, both at the Saint Adolphe location and the Ile des Chênes location. Saint Adolphe only basically took possession or occupancy July 1st. So in our budgets, we did plan for that accordingly. However, due to COVID, they didn't start getting back into business and with reduced numbers until that date, July. Ile des Chênes, they started paying their rents for January and February, no problem. But then halfway through in March, COVID hit and everything started shutting down and is still not fully operational. My recommendation to council is that we collect the rents moving forward based on the occupancy rate that they currently have throughout the summer and fall, winter months here. They are not up to full capacity, and that is due to COVID-19 restrictions from public health. What I'm recommending to council is that the offset or the difference that we are not collecting or will not be collecting be taken from the COVID relief grant that the province had advanced us in early November. We've already dipped into that for the arenas for November and December. My proposal is to cover 2020 lost income from the daycares from that fund as well. Also keeping in mind that if you look at my detailed spreadsheet, there are some of the other organizations that we will need to discuss possible relief funding as well. And my recommendation is to wait towards the later year end for that purpose, just to be able to do some forecasting as to where we are with the municipality and also gather numbers from the other community groups that may need assistance.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
Not here.
That makes sense. Looks good.
Just a quick comment. We should probably look at what we're doing with our rinks in the next month or so. Just when do we get to the point where we just say shut the door, and if we get cleared up and we can reopen in 3 months, do we fire the plant up in 3 months? Because
Yeah.
we're bleeding we're bleeding hydro right now on the 3 of them.
Yeah, I agree.
I was going to comment on the same point. Yeah.
Well, I agree with that too.
I think at some
Yeah,
point. there
I
has to be
think
a decision made.
for now, we've covered for no decision
Yeah.
for sure. I believe our recreation director, Amber, is monitoring the situation. We had already started thinking of that. At which point do we say we need to shut it down just for fact of we know that we're not going to be reopening? That is entirely a guessing game at this point. We're still in the second or third week of Code Red to be reviewed, I think, come December 11th, at which point we are in the hands of the province regarding these matters.
But we have a planning meeting on December 12th. Maybe we'll get more information by then and we can discuss it at the planning meeting, Mr. CEO.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Item 9, you see correspondence to council, and then item 9, adjournment. Do I have a mover?
Councillor
Councillor
Mam-
Belanger?
Councillor Mamchuk moves, second by Councillor Belanger. Okay, any discussion? Sorry, my computer is freezing up here. Any other discussion? Seeing none, cast your vote.
Don't I get a chance to discuss?
Did you want to discuss? Sorry, Councillor Belting.
All good.
Cast your vote.
That was pretty quick. 5-0 carried.
Thank you. 9:47 a.m. I close the meeting. Thank you, everyone. And